The new A2 expansion is definitely going to lead to quite a bit of a meta shift. It also looks to add some surprises with Pokemon tools. The few that we received will be crucial to gameplay, and we expect to see them working into all decks. Cards like Giant Cape will definitely force more thinking and planning in every match, while also helping to extend turns needed to set up some of the Stage 2 decks. So, let's go over some decks that can be used on Day 1. We'll see which ones will have the most impact on the meta. Space-time Smackdown Day 1 decks. Let's dive right in and start with Steel. Steel decks are finally getting some more love. One card in particular will be crucial to building some Steel decks, as well as meta-defining for others. Dialga EX is a first of its kind in TCG Pocket. Metallic Turbo is able to add 2 Steel energy to your bench, no matter the color type of card. This will benefit countless deck builds, as well as open the option for running decks with more cards of higher energy needs. This card will be out of range from most quick damage starters too, due to its 150 HP, allowing more turns and more options to bench build. Our first Dialga EX deck plugs straight into the current Melmetal Mew EX deck. It's got the solid 150 HP and base attack Metallic Turbo to speed up progress for the 2 on the bench, all while still doing damage to your opponent's active. We'll also run Cyrus. Cyrus will be another version of Sabrina, basically, with the ability to switch in one of your opponent's benched Pokemon that has damage on it to the active spot. Cyrus can either replace Sabrina or you can run one of each. This supporter also gives you more control over which card your opponent will have to move back to active. If only one is injured, they'll be forced to move that one to the active. Pokemon Tool card Giant Cape will replace Blue Trainer card. It's an awesome new addition to TCG Pocket. It adds plus 20 HP to the card it's attached to. This pushes Melmetal out of range of the 150 attack and even safe from Giovanni supporter. Our next Dialga deck will be with Pidgeot EX. With this deck we will run Rocky Helmet Tool card to add to Dialga while it's in the active. Rocky Helmet is another great addition to TCG Pocket. It adds 20 damage to your opponent's attacking Pokemon when the card it is attached to is in the active spot and is damaged by an attack. This allows us to do essentially 50 attack per turn while still actively building our bench. Or it will scare the opponent from attacking. This also helps Tauros come in and take out some of the higher HP EX cards that would have otherwise been safe after Dialga's base attack. Another benefit is it can also help Pidgeot with closing the match, and running Dialga takes some stress off of needing Pidgeot to be the only significant damage dealer of this deck. Let's dive into the new Pokemon tools a little bit more. Rocky Helmet has some big play potential with decks, and honestly, this card will make lesser used decks significantly better. For instance, this card combined with Druddigon doubles your damage from Rough Skin while it's in the active. Also, Rocky Helmet being used for some cards like Executor EX, and even bench building cards like Moltres EX has huge upside. Giant Cape has significant upside as well. Being able to prevent stage building deck basic cards like Magikarp from being sniped on the bench by cards like Hitmonlee will be game-changing. Tool cards will add so much diversity and deck flexibility to the meta. Dialga and Lickilicky EX will be our next featured deck. Lickilicky is a big-time hitter with its Licking Fury doing a base damage of 100 and then adding plus 40 for each heads you flip. This EX can also stay the distance with the bulky 160 HP. Lickilicky's biggest issue will be retreat cost, so once you move it to the active, prepare to keep it there until it's lost. But paired with Melmetal and Dialga EX, you will have endless options with 3 big hitters in your deck. This deck will take some time to get going, but once it's up and running, it will do some serious damage. There were some interesting fighting Pokemon added with Space-time Smackdown, including fan-favorite Lucario. Lucario is an instant plug into Golem decks, and rightfully so. Lucario's fighting coach makes attacks used by your Pokemon do plus 20 damage to an opponent's active Pokemon. Paired with Giovanni, it now pushes Golem into the 150 attack range, which also becomes a more important number with the 2 A2 pack mascots, Palkia and Dialga, also being at 150 HP. We'll only run one Pokeball with this deck, since we need more room for Brock, and again, we like the Rocky Helmet Tool card for our active. It gives flexibility with which we decide to build first, and we only have 4 potential basic cards in this deck. There were a lot of water cards added with this update. Our next newcomer to TCG Pocket, and next deck will feature Palkia EX. Palkia can fill a lead tank role in the active while building higher stage decks or searching for evolutions. Using only 1 energy to pump out 30 damage per turn with 150 HP will help it outlast most quick damage cards. It also has fairly cheap retreat cost to switch with the bench once they're ready. The upside to this card is being able to swap out once your bench build is ready to move up, which then allows Palkia EX to potentially come back in at the end to close a match if needed. With this deck, we'll replace Starmie EX with Palkia. This will extend the energy building process and take a bit longer to start doing damage, which is why we're adding a few tool cards to this deck. Giant Cape to help Magikarp and Eevee before evolving, and Rocky Helmet to help Palkia act like Druddigon while in the active. The plus side with this card is more damage per turn than Druddigon, as well as the potential of a solid closer when needed with Dimensional Storm, packing a wallop of 150 damage plus 20 additional damage to each of the opponent's benched Pokemon. Dark decks are something that many are excited for. There are quite a few dark cards in Space-time Smackdown that will bring some major shakeup to the meta, as well as fully complement cards and decks from previous sets. We'll start off with Honchkrow and Weavile EX with the Koga/Wheezing deck. These two really add a new dimension to this deck's capabilities. Weavile fills the role that most decks have been missing when running with Coughing and Wheezing. A card that can set up quickly and fits in with this deck's synergy needs. Scratching Nails does 30 damage plus 40 more if your opponent's active Pokemon has damage on it, which it generally will with Wheezing running the active to start. Our next dark deck we feel could potentially be a major meta contender, adding Darkrai EX instead of Honchkrow to Wheezing Koga. With the low energy costs for Wheezing and Weavile EX, the play will be to dump energy into Darkrai EX on your bench to increase damage output per turn. Darkrai's Nightmare Aura adds 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon whenever you attach an energy from your energy zone to it. So you're increasing your damage by 20 while also doing damage with Wheezing, then closing with Weavile. We'll also add a Rocky Helmet to our active to increase the damage output and force the opponent to swap around. You may want to run 2 Rocky Helmet cards with this deck, since you'll lose one when using Koga on Wheezing. We'd also like to mention 2 new supporter cards with potential huge impact, Mars and Dawn. Mars is a much better version of Red card, and will certainly hurt decks that focus around cards like Mythical Slab and Chateau, and others that pull cards from your deck. Playing Mars when your opponent has a full hand will definitely slow progression and potentially ruin their game plan. Dawn will certainly help cards that discharge energy after attacking like Volcarona, Magmar, or even newcomer Infernape EX. These cards will now be able to keep attacking each turn with the ability to consistently gain energy back and do damage the next turn. So, Dawn looks like a big boost to some fire decks. There you have it, guys. Try out these decks and let us know what you think of them in the comments. We do want to give a big thank you to Pokemon Zone website. It's an incredibly informative site for TCG Pocket with an immense amount of information. Check them out if you can. The link is in the description below. Please give us a like if you can, and we'd love it if you'd subscribe if you haven't already. And we're really excited for the update later today, and we'll have extensive content for you after the release. Thanks for watching, and have an awesome day, guys.